Welcome, Panem, to the glorious reaping of District 12.
Hey there, marvelous Hunger Games fans, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're talking about 12 hidden things in the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping trailer. Let's get into it. Even though Katniss Everdeen's story wrapped up a long time ago, the Hunger Games clearly still has more fuel in the tank. Suzanne Collins has already proven that twice, first by going back to the 10th Games in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and now by jumping ahead to the 50th Hunger Games in Sunrise on the Reaping. This time, the spotlight is on young Haymitch Abernathy, years before he became District 12's bitter, sharp-tongued mentor. We already knew Woody Harrelson's version survived something super awful. Now we finally get to see what that event actually was. The 50th Hunger Games mark the Second Quarter Quell, which means the capital doubles the number of tributes from each district. So instead of 24 children at the kiddie death match, we get 48. Now, one thing that really blows me away, actually two things. The first is the look of the film, and secondly, this story would largely be told from the perspective of the capital. After Ballad explored a post-war Panem, Sunrise on the Reaping goes for a bold 70s and 80s block color style in the costumes and world design, while the arena itself looks bright, lush, and too good to be true, albeit in a very Hunger Games way. Furthermore, the cast is packed with younger versions of familiar faces, including Joseph Zeta as Haymitch, Jesse Plemons as Plutarch, Ralph Fiennes as President Snow, Kieran Culkin as Caesar Flickerman, including several others. So in this video, I'm gonna take you through what all of that means, why certain stills and shots in the trailer reveal a bit too much, and what this film may already be telling us about Haymitch's brutal path to victory. Oh, and spoiler alert for those who haven't read the book. So with that out of the way, let's begin.
Let the 50th Hunger Games begin!
The Meadow of Poison and Death. So the very first shot in the trailer shows this beautiful meadow with green grass, blue skies, and 48 tributes sitting in a circle. But you already know that this time around, each of the 12 districts is sending 4 instead of 2 tributes for the Hunger Games. Unlike the setting of some other movies, this time around the arena is not entirely mechanical or dark. It's set in the middle of nature, but the interesting thing to note here is that the flora and fauna here are super deadly. Like everything from plants to animals, from insects to bugs, well, everything is poisonous, even the water that flows in a stream nearby, and many of the tributes will learn about this the hard way, after it's like too late for them. Needless to say, I'm suspecting that half or more than half would die on the first day of the games, and I think the reason why the environment itself is so deadly is that the game makers and President Snow would have wanted the heroes to fall as soon as possible. I mean, they don't want the games to run for like a month, considering there are double the number of contestants this time around. Haymitch Abernathy and present Coriolanus Snow. Next up, we meet the star of the show, Haymitch Abernathy, played by the relatively new Joseph Zeta. And guess who he's in a conversation with? Well, it's President Snow himself, this time being played by Ralph Fiennes. This makes Ralph Fiennes the third actor to play the notorious dictator Snow, formerly played by Donald Sutherland in the original as the oldest version of the character and by Tom Blythe in the Ballad of Songbirds as the youngest version. Ralph is definitely much older than Blythe's version and about a decade or two younger than Sutherland's. In the latter part of the trailer, Snow is telling Abernathy about a bloodbath, the longest death that people had ever seen, and it could be fate that Abernathy has to face it if he doesn't abide by the rules or what Snow wants. As for Zeta's character, I'm sure you know that Abernathy was formerly played by Woody Harrelson. Of course, Joseph Zeta has some pretty big shoes to fill, because what Harrelson did with his character was beyond extraordinary. Also, these are the 50th Hunger Games, and Abernathy is participating, and we see him 24 years later mentoring Katniss, which only means that he managed to outlive all the 47 contestants. Now, this is often a problem that prequels of this kind pose. I mean, we know what the ending is gonna be like, and who will survive, so the real question is, how will this new movie keep our attention? Well, I'm slightly skeptical of Zeta as Abernathy because the scenes depicting him were the least engaging. But then the movie has an excellent cast, including the likes of McKenna Grace, Jesse Plemons, Kieran Culkin, Elle Fanning, Maya Hawke, among several others. Lenora Dove, Haymitch Abernathy's love. In the scene where Snow warns Haymitch of dire consequences, Snow also tells him that he knows about the girl he loves, who loves him back. This girl is a rebellious and brave young woman named Lenora Dove. Actually, Lenora Dove Baird. Now, I won't discuss her fate in the books and the upcoming movie, but I can tell you that she may be connected to Lucy Gray Baird, the winner of the 10th Hunger Games, and the one who managed to delete all records of the same. She was also from the 10th district, the same district as Haymitch and later Katniss. Now, since there were no records as such in existence, Lucy became a living memory and eventually a distant memory, a question mark. People wondered where she went. Well, why am I telling you this? It turns out that when Haymitch talked about Lucy with Lenore, she would often discard the conversation or change the topic. It's a widely accepted belief that Lucy may be Lenore's mother or even her grandmother. You see, the age limit for the Hunger Games is 12 to 18 years. Haymitch and Lenore were nearly the same age during the 50th Hunger Games, or the Second Quell, and Lucy won the competition 40 years ago, so she must be some 40 or so years older than Lucy, which places her in the correct age bracket to be Lenore's mother or grandmother. Later in the trailer, you can see Lenore speaking to someone over a call. She's actually talking to Haymitch, and the call was arranged between them by Plutarch. Lenore leads to Haymitch's reaping. Now look at this scene here. Well, heavy spoilers ahead. So Haymitch and Lenore were considered safe since 4 other kids had already been reaped for the kiddie death match. But one of them named Woodbine Chance, a 14 to 16-year-old boy, gets scared and tries to run away, only to be shot dead by the peacekeepers. They wanted to take his body away too, but Lenore tried to help Woodbine's mother in stopping the peacekeepers. And this leads Haymitch to interfere and help Lenore, cause he loves her. And that's when the escort named Drusilla Sickle chooses Haymitch as the replacement for Woodbine, whose mother you can see in the bottom left of the still here. In fact, check out this shot. You can totally see Sickle's hand on Haymitch's face with Peacekeeper standing behind him. So had it not been for Lenore and her courage, Haymitch would never have been reaped, at least not in the 50th Hunger Games. Volcanic eruption. Check out this explosion here. I mean, this is actually a volcanic eruption that was orchestrated by the game makers as an answer to a sabotage that Haymitch carried out not very long before this. In the scenes here, you can see Haymitch running away from the fire, possibly caused by the volcanic eruption. Very 70s and 80s vibe. Next, we see a shot of the crowd attending the ceremony. While most of the faces you see are real people, the ones in the background are mostly CGI. Anyway, all these men and women, as you can see, are dressed in a very 70s and 80s style. One of them even has an afro. A younger Caesar Flickerman. After a shot of the train bringing the kids for the tournament, we see Kieran Culkin as Caesar Flickerman, the host of the Hunger Games, who was Stanley Tucci in the previous films. Although Culkin probably looks nothing like Mr. Tucci, this casting, like several of the others, seems nearly perfect. I mean, Culkin is a class actor and has received awards from various organizations, be it the Oscars, Emmy, BAFTA, Golden Globe, you name it. On an off note, it seems Mr. Culkin and his babies have a weird correlation with awards. Don't believe me? Check this out.
And she turned to me, I swear to God this happened, it was just over a year ago. She said, "I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar."
But I digress. The point is, Culkin is a phenomenal actor and the potential to do what Stanley Tucci did, maybe better. Plutarch Heavensbee. Now, if you watched any of the Hunger Games movies, then you know the name Heavensbee. The family is like one of the most elite families in the entire Hunger Games universe. In fact, Trajan Heavensbee, a direct ancestor of Plutarch Heavensbee, is considered to be the father of Panem. The character was initially played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and now his younger version will be played by Jesse Plemons, who's just a young cameraman as of the Second Quarter Quell. We already knew Plutarch had ties to the rebels at least 10 years before the original Hunger Games books, but Sunrise on the Reaping pushes that timeline way back. Here, his scheme around the Hunger Games seems to trace back roughly 25 years, which I have to say makes the man look either impressively patient or hilariously slow. Probably both. Haymitch first crosses paths with Plutarch when Plutarch serves as a cameraman at the Reaping in District 12. From there, things escalate very quickly. Plutarch brings Haymitch to his lavish mansion, and then President Snow drops in sort of unannounced in need of a glass of milk. Oh, and President Snow had recently poisoned someone because apparently in Panem, even casual visits come with murder on the side. Anyway, during all this, Plutarch lays out a way Haymitch could act out against the Capitol from inside the arena itself, though the book saves the outcome of that for later. Near the end, Plutarch hints that Haymitch may not be the ideal public face for a future rebellion. He says they need someone more popular, luckier, and furthermore, an army. That bit clearly points toward Katniss later on and suggests that these events may have pushed Plutarch toward District 13. Maysilee Donner. Now there are quite a few shots of Maysilee Donner played by McKenna Grace. I'll be honest about my love for Ms. Grace's acting skills right from the day I saw her with Chris Evans in Gifted. In Sunrise on the Reaping, she's playing Maysilee Donner, the blunt, critical, and stuck-up but extremely kind girl who becomes one of the closest friends to Haymitch. But Maysilee has a long-standing legacy vis-a-vis Katniss Everdeen. You see, the Mockingjay pin Katniss Everdeen wears from the 47th Hunger Games onward was not really hers in the first place. It was given to her by Madge Undersea, who was formerly Madge Donner, Maysilee's twin. The pin in question was originally Maysilee's and she did not care for it one bit. Part of that came from the bird itself being half mutt, and part came from plain old sibling resentment, because her sister received a hummingbird pin instead. Maysilee even tried to give it back to Tam Amber so he could melt it down and remake it into something prettier, but he refused. So the pin stayed in her dresser. Meanwhile, later on, that same pin became a symbol of the Second Rebellion. In fact, Katniss' mother Astrid was entrusted with Maysilee's pet canary. Mess during the chariot ride. Now, at the beginning of each Hunger Game, there's an opening ceremony or a chariot ride. And sometime later in the trailer, you see chariots colliding against each other. You see someone threw a firework in the crowd, and the horses of District 12's chariot that were already untrained and out of control lost their shit for real, and it was a bloody mess. So much so that one of the tributes died. In fact, this event was the last straw that pushed Haymitch into becoming a full-fledged rebel. This was also when he came into the notice of President Snow. And finally, let's check out a few blink and you miss it shots of the characters who would play important but short roles in the movie. So the Sunrise on the Reaping's cast lineup is bringing in a few names fans already know, only with new faces. But you know what? You even know the faces. Elle Fanning plays Capitol stylist Effie Trinket, the role Elizabeth Banks played in the original films. Maya Hawke takes on Wiress, the District 3 victor of the 49th Hunger Games, previously played by Amanda Plummer in Catching Fire. Kelvin Harrison Jr. will play B.T. Latier, the District 3 victor of the 34th Games, whose son Ampert now competes, after Jeffrey Wright played him once before. Oh yeah, Ampert and Haymitch develop a close bond in the story. Meanwhile, Lily Taylor will appear as Mags Flanagan, District 4's victor of the 11th Hunger Games, a role Lynn Cohen played in Catching Fire. So yeah, that was all in this one, guys. If you liked the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Those two small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more marvelous videos.